You set a goal that you are very motivated to achieve. Now comes the fun part. You get to start working on your goal. You start planning out the first step that you are going to take. Then all of a sudden the fun disappears and you start to become overwhelmed by the feeling of fear. Sound familiar? Hey there, welcome back to Newfound Dreamer, where I help you create the life of your dreams. In today's video, we are going to talk about fear. Or more specifically, I am going to share with you a technique that has helped me identify, acknowledge, and conquer my fears. Essentially, there are two types of fear. The kind that will keep you safe. You know, the one that reminds you that not every bear that you meet is Winnie the Pooh. So you should probably keep a safe distance so you do not get mauled to death by a wild bear. And then you have the kind that will keep you stuck. These are the fears that are controlled by your ego and hold you back from doing the things that you really want to do. This type of fear is most common when you are embarking on something new. Your ego senses danger and tries to keep you safe, even if it is very unlikely that it will result in any physical harm whatsoever. Fear is ingrained in us. It keeps us from making friends with a wild bear, walking into a burning building, or jumping out of a plane without a parachute. Or in my case, it would keep me from jumping out of the plane altogether. Fear becomes an issue when it keeps you from taking action on your goals and living the life that you want to live. So how do you move past your fears and start taking action on your goals? I have a 3-step process that will help you do just that. This process will help you identify, acknowledge, and conquer your fears. The first step is to identify your fears. What are you afraid of? In order to conquer your fears, you must first understand what it is that you are afraid of. Don't try to hide or bury your fears. Invite your ego to have a seat at the table and assign it a task it will thrive at. Ask your ego to write you a letter from your fear. This is an exercise that I learned from Elizabeth Gilbert, and in my experience, it is a fast and easy way to identify your fears. Start your letter with, "Dear," insert your name, "I am your fear, and this is what I want to tell you." So if I was to write a letter from my fear, I would start it with, "Dear Melissa, I am your fear, and this is what I want to tell you." Then allow your ego to speak freely and without judgment. It is okay if every sentence starts with the phrase, "I am afraid." Do not overthink it. Do not correct yourself. Just allow your ego to speak and let the words flow. Give yourself about 5 minutes to write the letter, then sign it sincerely your fear. It is okay if you do not need the full 5 minutes, but when the 5 minutes are up, thank your ego for sharing, then sign the letter. In just 5 short minutes, you will identify what you are currently afraid of. And now that you know what your fears are, you can start working on them. I did this exercise a few weeks ago, and I used the entire 5 minutes. Apparently my ego had a lot to say, but it helped me identify the fears that were currently holding me back from the goal that I was embarking on. The second step is to acknowledge your fear. We all have fears that show up from time to time, but have you ever taken a moment to understand why the fear is something that you are afraid of? This is a very important step and should not be overlooked. For the most part, we all have a handful of fears that keep showing up in our lives, and they can all be tied to our limiting beliefs. If you would like to learn more about limiting beliefs, check out this video. So if you never truly understand why your fear exists, it will be hard to conquer it. It will keep showing up again and again like an annoying pimple that you can't seem to get rid of. I want to give you an example because I think it will help you learn how to acknowledge and understand why your fear exists. One of the fears that came up in my letter was, why even bother? No one cares what you have to say. To be honest, I am not surprised that this fear showed up in my letter. My ego likes to throw this fear at me anytime I post on social media, sit in front of my camera to record a YouTube video, or the moment that I decide to attend a group function. This is a recurring fear, and for years it kept me stuck. It kept me from doing the things that I wanted to do, because I was scared that no one cared what I had to say. But this is just a limiting belief that stems from my childhood and teenage years. I was a very quiet person in a large friend group who never intentionally wanted to give anyone a reason to judge or criticize me, which just so happens to be another one of my limiting beliefs from my childhood that I had to work through. If you would like to know the 3 mindset shifts that help me stop caring about what other people think, check out this video. Growing up, some of my friends were loud and had big personalities. I was often spoken over, and when that happened, I would stop speaking and just listen. It happened so often that I started telling myself the story that no one cared what I had to say. I told myself that story so often that I started to believe it. It became a deep-rooted fear of mine. I preferred to stay quiet because I was afraid that no one cared what I had to say. So I want you to revisit the letter from your fear. Take a few minutes to read the letter. Acknowledge the fears that are written on the page without judgment. Then take a few minutes on each fear to think about why this is something that you may be afraid of. When has this fear come up before? Is there something from your past, whether it is something that you experienced or a story that you were told, that caused you to develop this fear? Do not judge what comes up. Honestly, it is pointless to judge what comes up. You cannot change the past, but you can use this knowledge to make changes that will impact your future. So instead, I want you to view anything that comes up as interesting. It is interesting because it will help you understand your fear and prepare you for the next step. The third and final step is to conquer your fear. This step takes practice. You will need to feel the fear and take action despite the fear. The more you practice, the easier it will become. Conquering your fear is like building a muscle. The more you work on it, the easier it gets and the stronger you become. You need to build up your confidence and prove to yourself that it is not as scary as you are making it out to be. In step 2, you learned how to acknowledge your fear and understand why you feel this fear. So before you face your fear head on and take action despite your fear, I want you to look for moments in your past that contradict your fear. This is a great place to start because it will often provide you with the initial boost of confidence that you need to face your fear head on. Then each time you face your fear, you will continue to prove your fear wrong, and it will help you build your confidence. Eventually, your fear will fade or disappear altogether. Since starting my YouTube channel, I have had a few people message me to thank me for something that I have shared in a video. It may not happen often, but each time it does, I am reminded of the impact that I am able to have when I share what I have learned. These people cared enough about what I had to say to send me a message which contradicts my fear and the story that my ego keeps telling me. I originally started my YouTube channel because I wanted to help at least one person create a happier and more abundant life by sharing the tools that are helping me create the same shift in my own life. If I allowed my fear to win, I would not be helping anyone. The fear that no one will care what I have to say still comes up frequently for me, but I find it much easier to take action because I have conquered the fear before and I know that I can do it again. The limiting belief that is causing your fear is not real. It just seems that way because it is rooted in your subconscious. You can conquer your fear. It will be scary, but you can do it. And the more you practice, the easier and less scary it becomes. I believe in you, and I would love for you to believe in yourself as well. The next time fear is holding you back from taking action, follow this 3-step process to identify, acknowledge, and conquer your fears. Now I want to hear from you. What is a fear that you would like to conquer? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button because it helps support my channel. And remember to do one thing today that will help you create the life of your dreams. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you back here next Thursday with a new video. What is going on with my hair? How many times will I have to say that? Hold it together. Okay, moving on.